I just feel very fortunate that I got my bed, and all my stuff was delivered here to Florida about a month early because there had been so many cancellations. The company just sent my stuff straight through. So yeah, why don't you guys talk a little bit? Khan Academy is a great resource. There's a online program called K through 12, I think it is, or K-12. That's like a charter school format that people have been using for at least 5-7 years now, that I think is offering special options for students. How many of you have kids or family, like elders who are living with you or who you're responsible for? Just dogs, the dogs too. A lot of you. So I'm really grateful that you're all here considering what we're facing. Parents are elsewhere, and that can be challenging or better depending upon what kind of care your parents have where they are. My girlfriend, who's here in Florida, who's one of the reasons why I moved back here, we've been friends since junior high school. And when I was here in, what was that, December, January, looking to buy a place, her mom died the night I was flying back to Hawaii. And so I was able to go to the hospital and be with her. But she said to me today how fortunate she feels that her mom passed when she did, because she's got a special needs adult son who's got Asperger's. You know, she's got enough on her hands already. And she, like me, works online full time. So for some of us, it really does make a big difference to know how to do all of this already. So Eddie, your parents passed on and you're staying away from it all. Good. I think that's what we have to do. Does everybody have masks in case you do have to go out or be exposed? So at one of the breaks, I will send you information on making masks that one of my Hawaii community groups we just came up with. I had done some research. Yeah, the hospitals won't give you one because you're an MD. And so that's a really good point. Is everybody still reporting physically to work? Eddie, you had to switch online at work this week, or is everybody using Zoom? All telehealth now, great. Masks from the fires, you know, Danielle, Danny, I had masks left over from the lava flow last 2 years, is it already, or last year? And when I was packing up, I wanted to give them away to people because I really didn't think I'd ever need them here. And people didn't want them. So fortunately, they're in my luggage someplace, but I was able to get a couple of masks in before they closed. Australia is not in lockdown yet. So Mateo, do you know how many cases you've had so far? Wow. And I'm just going to throw this out there. Did anybody ever think that this would happen in your lifetime? Schools are still open and they have 400 cases. So some of you knew this would come someday. I mean, but the whole world is on lockdown, and that to me is kind of amazing, or we're almost all on lockdown. Apparently Australia is not yet. We had on Hawaii Island, we had our first case identified about a week ago, but then they're up to 26 cases already. So yes, Eddie's point is really well taken. Yeah, and Brady also, not to this extent. And so, you know, I'm going to talk to you today about what we're supposed to talk to you about for APA designation requirements, but what I want to do this afternoon, let's see how far we get with the material I've already posted. Toilet paper, yeah. No, we don't have enough tests to test people with symptoms, that's right. So is anybody here from New York City? I know Jara's in Boston, right? Or Ontario. Yeah, the panic and chaos. I asked because my friend, you're in Thailand, oh my, and you can't get anywhere, right? So, yeah, so your staff is in New York and completely isolated, Brady. You know, so my friend moved to Seattle from Hawaii about 3 months ago, like right before I moved here. She moved to Seattle. She has a very rare biliary duct autoimmune disease. And so she's been trying to get a liver transplant, and she has to get a whole transplant because it's the biliary ducts, right? It's not just like a hepatocarcinoma that she has. It's the ducts are attacking themselves in terms of autoimmune attack on the proteins, and so she needs an entire system transplant. And so she was in Hawaii for several years. They don't do partial transplants there in Hawaii. And so she decided to move to Seattle, where she had the highest opportunity to get on a donor list. And that was 3 months ago. And so she's kind of ground zero for the United States. I mean, Seattle was where the earliest cases were observed. And so meanwhile, her daughter is in New York City. She's in her early 20s. And her daughter and her two roommates all got sick. They went to the hospital. The hospital didn't have any tests. And this is in Bushwick, so it's not Manhattan. They're in Queens and or Brooklyn, I guess it is. And they've been sheltered in place for about 2 weeks now. Each one with over 100 degrees fever, GI complications, as well as, respiratory. But yesterday they all posted a picture on Facebook that they are, on the other side of it. But I can't imagine what it's like for my friend who's in Seattle, who's completely isolated, is at high risk. And then she's got her daughter who apparently has something very serious and couldn't get any care. So the VA's not answered how leave will be handled. Yeah. So I know everybody is really stressed about all of this, and what I'm hoping to do after the break, if we go that long today, to be honest with you, I've got some articles that I've been pulling out of the literature because we're looking at a risk. I mean, I talked to you last week about risk analysis and risk communication and all those things, and we are in it, right? I mean, we are on the front lines of a pandemic, but it's international. It's all over the world. People are jumping to conclusions. I want to talk to you about that ibuprofen versus Tylenol thing. And I think that is such a perfect example of where, understand risk communication becomes so essential for everybody to really have a handle on how do you communicate about these challenges. Yes, you're absolutely right, Eddie. So, yes, and so, I moved here in part also to be with my aunt who turned 90 in June. And her daughter came in when I came in about a month ago, 6 weeks now, and she was sick. She brought with herself some kind of virus. And I'm just really glad because they only have one extra bedroom in their house. So we were going to share the bed. And this before she started manifesting symptoms. And I said, no, that's okay. I'm going to sleep on the couch. I'm still recovering from sleeping on the couch. But I never caught what she had, but she did give it to my aunt, my 90-year-old aunt. So after my cousin left, and of course she gets back on a plane, even though she's probably contagious still. I'm very glad I was there to take care of my aunt. And so at that time, it was early February at this point. So I ordered some masks. I got her mask and N98 mask. I gave her gloves. But she was still going out shopping. She was going to play mahjong 3 times a week with her girlfriends. So she's not really thinking about, the consequences of each of her actions. I don't know that we had COVID-19. I don't know if that's what she had. It could have been anything. And so, I'm glad I was able to be here for my aunt. A lot of people do still think it's not a big deal. And it's interesting because some of that does fall by political persuasion, so to speak. And it's interesting because I have a friend who I've known for 20 years, who ex-Marine, or I guess once you're a Marine, you're always a Marine. So he's a retired Marine. And he used to be the student services coordinator at UH. And he at first was saying, oh, this is a hoax, spewing the party line, so to speak. And then I posted something about the crayons they eat or protect. I posted something on Facebook about how I really hope anybody who has this stays away from me because I have COPD. I have enough, and I have autoimmune conditions, so I have enough issues. That's why I take the masks and everything very seriously. And he messaged me and he said, I have leukemia. Do you think I need to be careful? And I said, please err on the side of caution. And then I started seeing his posts, how, he was addressing the issues with people at his doctor's office. So, I think you guys are a perfect group to talk about the whole psychology of what we're facing. I have shared with most of my legislators in Hawaii that if there are any emergency actions taken, that they should also consider prescribing psychologists. And I don't know if that will, take any, wings and go with it, but I think that it is a time where we are going to need, disaster mental health. It's interesting, Chiara, I was contacted in early February by a colleague of mine who's a physician with the DOH in Hilo, asking me what protocols, what's APA doing, all this stuff. So fortunately, he recognized very early on that there was going to be a mental health crisis from this. And I was watching public broadcasting, PBS, and they were interviewing a woman who is a waitress in Colorado, and she can't sleep, she can't eat, she can't work, obviously. She's worried that she's going to get thrown out of her apartment. And she wasn't exposed, or as far as she knows, she wasn't exposed. She has no symptoms, but she has such elevated anxiety. And I think that with PSYPAC and all of this going on, I think that when we are done with this, whoever's left standing, we are going to be at a remarkable time for us as a nation to integrate mental health care. Contact who? PA? Yeah. Yes. Let's go big, shut down, get ahead of this. I agree 100%. Oh, yes, Rebecca. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. I am in touch with Tony Ragusia, so I will follow up with him. Happy to do that. Thank you. Yes, and substance abuse. It well, I'm thinking not just substance abuse, but also withdrawal. Right, Brady? We're going to see a lot of people who run out of their meds. Yes. So, you know, it is, I hate to exploit a bad situation. And Eddie's point, we may need to go through this for 9 months. I think that it's going to be closer to that. And I will tell you all that I probably won't see you in at APA this year. And that's all I'm going to say about it at this point. But, you know, even though it's in August and we're months away, I have a feeling that the way the convention is held is going to be very different from anything we've ever had before. So, you know, and Alliant, I give Alliant a lot of credit because they jumped on it early. They made some hard decisions. You all get those Alliant emails, right? From Andy Vaughn, the president, and Amber Eckert. Good, okay. You know, they're at your alliant.edu address, so you have to use that. Yeah, they really have been great. And Amber, I got to tell you, Amber Eckert is a fabulous person to begin with, but you know, she really has been so diligent on this thing. And so I've been trying to help faculty. Aiden and I got on one faculty meeting because, you know, we have faculty who've been teaching for 30 years by sitting down in a class at, you know, either a round table or standing up at a board. And yeah, I think you're right, Najib. Now, where are you located, Najib? California. I thought you were in Texas for some reason. So, yeah, we're not going to have a vaccine until we've already inoculated ourselves, essentially. You know, and herd immunity. Now, I do have some friends. It's very interesting. You know, from Hawaii, we really are used to being isolated and dealing with crises, and so people in Hawaii are taking it very seriously. But I just want to say for Alliant, we've been having round the clock sessions with folks who don't ordinarily teach online, and I feel very fortunate that we're all already okay. I heard that about the hydroxychloroquine and Z-Pak, so that's interesting because the Z-Pak is really just for secondary complications, right? But I heard about the quinine, chloroquine, that's one approach that they're taking. So that would be great. I mean, it's used for malaria, right, primarily. And we just need to be cautious in terms of, yes, exactly. There is hope, but there's also going to be a lot of people promoting their own stuff. I saw a guy last night. They have this ventilator system, that's really going to be the biggest challenge. How are you going to address 15 people in the hospital who need ventilation, right? And so, yeah, we have been careful. What about where you are, Chiara, if you're in Thailand? How are they addressing it? I'm trying to respond to your questions and also share some thoughts at the same time. But I have a friend, well, Dr. Davis. I think you all met Alice Davis. She did the physical assessment class with you. And she was here in Florida, not here with me, but on the other side. And she had a trip to New York planned after she was here in Florida. And she canceled that, but she's supposed to fly back to Hawaii. And on Monday, tomorrow, I don't think she's going to be able to get on a flight, let alone when she gets home, she's going to have to self-isolate. Yeah, I think Chiara's point about the mindset of people is what's dangerous to us right now. I did go out on Friday. I needed to get some furniture for my house. I still don't have a table to eat at, but I got my desk. So I have something I can sit at. And I walked into the furniture store. It was dead. There were 2 salespeople there. We stood 10 feet apart or more. I had my mask, and I didn't have gloves, but what I do is I just carry a pack of wipes, and I carry a pack of paper towels with me. And every time I have to touch something, I wipe it down with a new wipe, right? Because a lot of what people doing, they're using one wipe to clean 20 door handles or something. And if there is something on the door handle, you're spreading it or potentially spreading it. So, yeah. Anyway, one last thing on that, though, is I did hear something from a microbiologist that said that when you use hand sanitizer, you have to wait 90 seconds before you actually touch the object, and don't dry it off, so don't wipe it off. I thought that was something I had not heard before. So, but I want to get back to what Eddie was saying, anecdotal evidence only at this point. People are trying a lot of things, and I think that's what we need to do. We need to try everything. Yeah, contact time. So we need to try everything that we can that makes sense. But I worry that there are going to be people who exploit the situation, and try to market or hawk their products. So there was this guy on TV last night that was talking about, he has this respirator system. It's been approved by FDA for one application, and he's saying, let's use them. I can produce thousands of them. And that's what's scary, because we haven't collected the data. We don't know what the consequences are of that. And my biggest fear is that we get through this part of it, and then there is some secondary consequence that nobody's thinking about, like cancer, some other manifestation that comes out that's going to be difficult to parse through. Suicides, yeah. So, I hate to say it, but I wonder what Stephen King is thinking. I don't know if you've read The Stand, but I read it 1,000 years ago when it first came out, and it was the only Stephen King book that I read, the first one, and I keep thinking back to it, Janelle, if you read it. So I just wonder what he's thinking. Yeah, these times are making for a good Stephen King book, and it is really amazing to be living in. Living in the time of cholera, right? Love in the Time of Cholera is an amazing book, but here we are, and hopefully we'll continue to be able to meet as a class going forward. So wait, so China, autopsies, drink warm beverages. Okay, I want to talk about that. Thank you, Rebecca, for bringing that up. I was going to do this later on today, but okay, that there was a thing that people were sharing. My brother sent it to me about holding your breath for 10 seconds, as well as drinking warm beverages to flush the virus down through your stomach. It is bogus. And there have been, at one of our breaks, I'll find the response to that. And I think it was the European Union responded quickly to quash that rumor. And it gives false hope. I mean, if you can't hold your breath for 10 seconds, it could be anything. I mean, I have COPD. I mean, I'm pretty good. My lung capacity is a lot better because I have an inhaler. But, you know, it could be anything. That is really not a measure. Yeah. Yeah. So, and that's what's going on. People are sharing this stuff. There was a rumor that this was all started by Russia. If you look at the map, it's really the global map of cases. It's really interesting because Russia does not have a lot of reported cases. Now, is that because they don't have them or because they're not reporting them? You know, but it is kind of interesting in terms of that global distribution, and the fact that, you know, where it started in China, there was this big concern that it came from dogs first and then bats. And because people eat bats, I guess, in this province of China. Yes, and Eddie's right. That's not how viruses are going to spread anyway. And again, there's the psychology underlying this whole epidemic or pandemic at this point. But and it really does speak to why are we being exposed to this situation, and you know, how is it being spread? How is it being disseminated? Why would people spread false information? I mean, with what is it, bait click and all that stuff. I don't know how much of it is embedded by somebody intentionally, you know, and I never really give into conspiracy theories, but I've been having a ball coming up with them. It's really a crazy time. Okay. Oh, there was a behavioral health message. I don't think I saw that. That's interesting. Yeah, wary of political consequences. It's just a wild time that we're in. Okay, so I think we're going to talk about this later on. What I'm going to try to do during the lunch break, I have been collecting papers on this, and so I don't know if I'll be able to send them all to you and have a discussion on them. I might send one or two, and we can talk about it for a while. Okay. Yes, Venice. All right. Now I didn't record this either, but I don't know. Did we? Oh, we are recording it. That's fine. All right. Clean water in Venice. What do you think that's? What is that, Shara? The clean water in Venice? Because they finally cleaned it. Is that what you're saying? Amazing. No ships, no trash, no tourists. Amazing times we live in. All right. Now, I'm going to, I saw that. I saw clean air in China also. But that'll change quickly, I'm sure. So you know what? Since we're already partway into this hour, rather than start on the slides, there is another conversation that I've been, wow, dolphins. That's amazing. I've gotten lots of emails about the next class. And some of you, we've been still talking about doing practicum. I have no idea what's going to happen with that. You can see, I want some pictures of that. That's amazing. So that's really amazing. I hope that the world learns from this, right? In terms of the water being clear in Venice, which is just incredible to me. I hope that we don't just jump right back into where we were before. Ah, poor monkeys. Sorry. So why don't we take a few minutes during this hour? We're going to talk about the upcoming course. We're going to talk about the PEP. We're going to talk about different states. Yeah, it's crazy. All right. So, Dave Shearer, I don't know if any of you know Dr. Shearer. He's a fabulous resource for us. Dr. Moore was scheduled, Brett Moore, also a great resource. He was scheduled to teach. He changed his work schedule. I have no idea what's going on with that now, but so Dave Shearer is scheduled to teach at the end of this course. You have Dr. Brady next. Let's see, we're still talking about it. Well, what do you think it is, Jason? All right, we're not, what do you think it is, Jason, why the water in Venice would suddenly be clear? Oh, from stirring up the mud. Well, that makes sense too. All right, I'm gonna let this conversation run through. And then anybody else have anything to say about Venice or COVID or anything else? Go ahead and get it out right now, and then we'll start talking about and then we'll start talking about your next course and other things, okay? Okay, hopefully we got that out of our system. We can always go back and talk about it later, but so I got a couple of questions. The one I'll address first is about your next course, 7930, your next and your last course, 7930. So before I talk about 7930, I'm going to talk to you about the rest of 7920. And so after me, you get Dr. Brady, and he's going to talk with you about legal and ethics matters. And then you'll have Dr. Shearer for the last weekend of this course. And he's going to do basically a lecture or lectures on pharmacotherapy. So integrating kind of everything you've learned in this program into applying it. So various things, including off-label uses of various drugs, special populations and decision-making for special populations. So some of it's going to be a tie-in of what you've had already, and some of it's going to be new material. So that's going to be your last weekend, Saturday and Sunday in this course. I don't have the dates in front of me, but I can, you all know the dates, right? In your material that you have. And then the following weekend, as far as I remember, is the 7930 course. Now, in 7930, you will be writing up a case. It will be either a real case that is a patient that you've been dealing with in your practice, or but I'm just pulling up my calendar real quick. Yeah, so it's the 2nd and the 3rd, if I remember correctly. And so at the end